So my first question is, you coached John Kovalik as a pitcher from 2011 2014, and then you brought him on your coaching staff for 2 seasons. What qualities or traits made him such a good player, and how did they carry over to coaching?
His competitiveness. I mean, he's just so competitive as a player, as a coach. He's probably one of the most competitive pitchers that we've ever had. Definitely one of the hardest working pitchers that we ever had. One of his teammates, Lou Trevino, who's with Oakland, the Oakland A's now. They were together, and they are probably one and two the most competitive guys that we ever had, and they worked the hardest. On the field and off the field, they were 100% in. So I think it was a good transition, going from college to pro for John. I think he would have liked to have been in Trevino's situation where he's actually throwing, off the mound. But he knew that life had, pretty much worn out, and that he was definitely trying to coach at the pro level. He'd done a lot of camps. He had played and met some people networking. The guy with the Astros that hired him is one of his friends, and it just was a great situation for him, and he couldn't pass it up.
So you had more of an idea that he had a chance to get to the major league.
Yeah, he's been trying. He's been trying to get in the pro ball. He worked for the Indians during the summer. In their summer camps. Neil Huntington's son was one of the other instructors there, so he's been doing all the right things. Going to volunteering in camps and different things, and at the same time, mastering his craft here. With college players, and most of the guys that he's working with, at the pro level. Many of them are college guys that were, playing college ball and were drafted. But then again, you do have the other side where they're coming fresh out of high school or from, international. So he has them 24/7. Whereas here at the college level, we're limited with the number of hours, that he can actually instruct. So I think it was a good fit for the Astros getting John, because he's very good. And like I say, it was an outstanding opportunity for John. It's very difficult to get in the pro ball, and like I said, he's, just because of his background and his makeup and his competitiveness, I'm sure that's, three attributes that why the Astros took him, because he's driven. He's driven, and wherever he goes, whether it was here at college or whether, at the pro level, I think he's going to be successful.
So overall, with Lou Trevino and Alex Matous in Oakland system, and now Kovalik in Houston, how proud are you of the quality of the round pitching here at SRU?
Oh, it's outstanding. I mean, the PSAC as a whole. I mean, we're pretty. Slipper Rock is very fortunate to have three guys in pro ball pitching wise, and we have Adams as a hitter. But there's other guys, like I say, there's guys out of Millersville and Mercyhurst and East Stroudsburg. It's just a very, very strong conference overall, both pitching and hitting. But to have three players that are in pro ball, whether it be minor league, pro ball, playing, coaching, it's pretty phenomenal, at this level. And they're all outstanding human beings. That if baseball was to stop tomorrow, all three of them are going to find they're going to be very successful outside of baseball. But they're all in. They're 100% in. Trevino is at the top of the list, but he won't be content there. He'll want to be an all-star. John won't be content coaching single A. He'll want to be coaching in the major leagues. Alex, had a strong summer at the end of the summer last year. Is going into this year and just trying to move up the ladder, same as Trevino did.
Yeah.
So I think that the guys that do well, we've had guys that have been drafted before that didn't make it, but I think the three that we have there now, you couldn't be more happy for, because they've all worked really, really hard, and they're really driven to get to that level.
You brought on Sean Holiday to fill a coaching spot that was opened by his departure. Could you tell me a little bit about his background, what he can bring to your team?
Completely different makeups. Very, very similar with new style, analytical. Both have a background. Both played here. Sean pitched for me as well. Came in from a Division I program at Marshall. Came here and pitched for us. Graduated with a sport management degree. Runs a baseball school in Moon with his brother, who played AA or AAA with the Pirates. And he's been doing that for maybe half a dozen years. He was also the pitching coach for North Allegheny. So he has a background of Slipper Rock. He knows us because he played here. He had worked a number of our camps and showcases over the years, and we had always talked about if anything ever opened up, definitely. And some of our players this year actually had him as a coach before, so there was somewhat of an identity and being comfortable there. And he brings in a very similar background when it comes to the analytical that side. He's up on all the newest trends, from spin rate to velocity improvement, everything that the newer programs are doing. But at the same time, he's very approachable, and he understands that pitcher A may not be the same as pitcher Z. So he individually, I think sees everybody, that the expectations are there, but he totally understands also that this kid, one kid might throw 93, 94, where another player may only max out at 84, 86, and can be just as successful for us. But he sees the whole picture very, very well. And the biggest thing is coming into the PSAC is knowing that it's competitive. I mean, there isn't a team in this conference that on any given day that's not going to beat you. So he knows that because he played here, and it wasn't the easiest situation coming in, mid-semester. But he knows a number of our players because they're from the area. He's still been involved with the baseball since he left Slippery Rock. Not only running his baseball school with his brother, but also coaching at North Allegheny. This is his first opportunity to coach at the college level, which he wants to do.
Yeah.
So it was good for him, and it was an outstanding opportunity for us to find somebody of his caliber, middle of the year, to be able to come in and do it for us. Because that was one of John's concern, was that he was leaving us high and dry, but those opportunities don't come along every day. And I say, hey John, you gotta do what's the best for you right now. So if it's open, that position's open with the Astros, you got to jump at it. Don't worry about us. We've gone through a number of coaches, and that's one of my roles. Any assistant that I have is to try to upgrade them to where they're going to get their own head job or a full-time job or a bigger, whatever they think is bigger or better. And we've had, I don't know how many of our former players, coaches that are coaching in college or pro ball, and I look at it, that's part of my job, is trying to encourage them, to go to the next level.
All right, just hopping back to Kovalik for my last question.
Yeah.
Overall, what do you just predict for his future?
He like I say, I wouldn't put a ceiling on his, on the level that he could go to. It's going to be different for him. I mean, going from a college player to a pro player, but there's definitely pros and cons. One of the pros, like I had mentioned, is that they're there. It's their job. It's their livelihood. And he's there to develop those pitchers. They're with him, 100% of the time, so he can see their development, maybe a little bit quicker, than they're at the college level. I think his thing, one of the questions he had was his path, leaving. I don't think John will be content, at being just but a single A pitching coach. He'll look to get to double A. He'll look to get to triple A. He'll look to be a coordinator for a minor league team. And if that, to that point, if he's going to be successful, I have no doubt that he'll be successful at that level. But, potentially he could, after years of doing in pro ball, and that's something he can answer, he may end up wanting to come back to college. But he'll have both avenues that he'll be able to choose from.